What's going on, Minties? The Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition. And today, I'm going to take an advanced look at X-Men Fallen Angels, XMen Classic, the Complete Collection Volume 2, and the Marvel Visionaries Chris Claremont from Marvel Comics. So, please stay tuned. Okay, now before we get started, I'd like to say thank you to David Gabriel and the folks at Marvel for sending us advanced copies of these titles. Let's look at Fallen Angels really quick. By the way, all three of these come out on November 27th at places like cheapgraphicnovels.com. This episode is sponsored by cheapgraphicnovels.com, your online home for brand new graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off the cover price. Cheap Graphic Novels prides itself on packaging your books so they arrive safely and in excellent condition, as well as prompt and helpful service. And check out their bargain bin for even greater deals up to 90% off cover price. And for you Minties, Cheap Graphic Novels is running a special promotion. If you're a first-time customer, let them know you were referred by Near Mint Condition at the checkout, and you'll receive a credit for free shipping on your next order. Now, this is only for U.S. customers. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discounts, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. Let's get this open. Now, X-Men Fallen Angels is kind of a weird mini-series to collect. I'm sure they're doing it because of the new ongoing series in the aftermath of House and Powers of X. So this is a series that takes place in the 80s. I want to say like 85, 86 if I'm not mistaken. I remember clearly I was reading issues of New Mutants and X Factor because that's who features in here. Characters from X Factor and characters from New Mutants. And this collects all of the 8-issue miniseries, and there's some extras in the back which we'll look at here in a second. So pretty much the story is, in a fit of rage, Sunspot accidentally knocks out Cannonball, even though Cannonball is in external, right? And he was afraid he killed him, so he takes off, and Warlock, being the self-friend that he is, takes off after him. And together with Warlock, he runs across some unexpected fellow, I guess, runaways, if you will, back then. So I guess this title really could have been called Runaways. As a matter of fact, this title was originally called, what are bad girls in gym? Misfits. This was originally called the Misfits. So you have characters like Boom Boom from X Factor. As a matter of fact, I remember that's how I found out about this series. I was reading X Factor. I want to say 16 wasn't 16. That was 17. X Factor 17. Like Boom Boom goes through this closet door and she disappears. And the little editor note at the bottom was like, to find out what happens, you must read Fallen Angels number 3. And I was like, well, I gotta go read Fallen Angels number 1 and 2 then. So that's pretty much the gist of it. They run into new characters too, like Chance, the guy with the lobsters. Yeah, this dude right there. Moon Boy and Devil Dinosaur show up. This is my first time I remember seeing Moon Boy and Devil Dinosaur. And I was like, I don't know who these guys are, but this is ridiculous. And I ended up buying the omnibus, going back and reading that because of this. And like I said, there's new characters in here. It was a pretty fun series. It was all written by Mary Jo Duffy, and she was joined by Mary Severin. She did a lot of the pencils, as well as Kerry Gamble. I think Kerry Gamble's the guy that created the series, though, with Jo Duffy. And I'm not going to reveal what happens at the end in case you're wondering, but here are articles about the upcoming Fallen Angels, and there's that house ad. I thought, yeah, this was it was originally called The Misfits. Interesting. I wonder why they changed the name. Probably because of a copyright. Here are all the characters, like I said. Oh yeah, I forgot to talk about Siren and Madrox. As a matter of fact, I remember Peter David writing about that, how this was a different Madrox than the one in his X Factor run, and that's why he didn't recognize his relationship with Siren. And man, that was way too long. Ariel, man, that's a gorgeous drawing of Ariel. There's Chance, Boom Boom. I think it's Brett Blevins. Man, so cute. I remember having a big crush on her when I was a kid. And there's Moon Boy and Gomi with his 2 lobsters. Well, drawing of one of them. And then there's the X-Men Milestones and X-Men Milestone Dark Phoenix. Speaking of Dark Phoenix, here we have X-Men Classics, the Complete Collection Volume 2, retailing for $39.99. By the way, Fallen Angels retails for $19.99. And this particular book is 520 pages, whereas Fallen Angels was 208 pages. So let's look a little bit in here. Classic X-Men. This, by the way, this is the second volume, and that's it. There's no more after this. Classic X-Men were, of course, reprints of the original stories. I've done an overview of the omnibus if you want to see a more detailed overview of what exactly it is, where they went in and changed some of the panels. It's like each issue was a reprint of an Uncanny X-Men issue, starting with Giant Size #1, not going back to the beginning. Think of it like a director's cut of a movie, like the James Cameron director's cut of Aliens. It's the best way I can describe it. A lot of this stuff, most of this is written by Chris Claremont and drawn by John Bolton. And so this is a beast of a collection. So if you're getting the Epic collections, I strongly suggest getting this as the accompanying ongoing series, because there's a lot of... Sorry, I got distracted by this one because I cannot remember who did the art for this. And this particular volume collects Classic X-Men 24 through 44, and I'll explain why here in a little bit. It also collects Marvel Fanfare number 60, which is the final issue of that series. There's a lot of stuff in here that just became a part of ongoing X-Men stories. Like the relationship with Jean and Storm, how close they were, and why she missed her during her time that she was dead, or supposedly dead. There's a lot of things that are going on behind the scenes that were not in the original stories. So it was Chris Claremont's way of rewriting a lot of his stuff and adding new elements to the stories. So that's what these are. Now, they stopped adding new stories. As a matter of fact, I think Dark Phoenix is one of the last arcs that they add in an original storyline. It's by the time we get to, right here. So issue 44 of Classic X-Men is the last reprint with a new backup story. The rest of the ongoing Classic X-Men run was just strictly reprints. As a matter of fact, there was supposed to be a backup story at the end of 45, but I don't know, I guess the editors pulled it out. And it's been reprinted here because it was reprinted in the final issue of Marvel Fanfare years later. It was written by Ann Nocietti. So it's not only just Chris Claremont. You also have Fabian Nicieza, Ann Nocietti, artwork by Jim Lee. Most of it is done by John Bolton. So yeah, that was supposed to go at the end of this issue. And then you have the reprints of the covers. Because even though they were reprinted comics, they were still adding new covers to them to sell them. And there's that classic Mignola stuff. I think Paul Smith did some of his own covers. Adam Hughes. Yeah, it was Adam Hughes, I'm sorry. A take on Paul Smith's Uncanny 173. Then in the back here, by the way, I love that this is all yellow. You can tell right there. It's interesting where all the covers start and stuff. And here's more reprint covers, ads and added pages. So this is all stuff that's been collected in the omnibus, but if you didn't get the omnibus, or you're not a fan of collecting omnibuses and just sticking with the Epic line, then this is your best bet. Oh yeah, they even collected a lot of the early years. These were reprints of the original X-Men issues. Most of the covers were supplied by Kevin Lashley, Tom Rainey, and Matthew Ryan. Now, let's look at Marvel Visionaries by Chris Claremont. This was previously released as a hardcover. It has an introduction by C.B. Cebulski, the editor-in-chief, and it reprints just stories from all over the years written by Chris Claremont. So you have Daredevil 102, Marvel Preview number 11, Iron Fist number 14, and then a huge chunk of Uncanny X-Men, which is 137, 153, 205, 268, annual number 10, or number 12, sorry, Avengers annual number 10, which is the first appearance of Rogue, Wolverine number 3, New Mutants 21, Classic X-Men 13, Excalibur number 16, and X-Men Unlimited number 36. I find that interesting that's such a huge gap between Excalibur 16 and X-Men Unlimited 36. But I really, really, really like that story. Here's Wolverine. So he's teamed up with a lot of different artists. You have John Byrne, Dave Cockrum, Frank Miller, Jim Lee, Bill Sienkiewicz, Barry Windsor Smith, this beautiful, yet to be reprinted in an oversized format, issue 205 right here, with Barry Windsor Smith supplying his own colors. Man, if I just can't wait for some kind of announcement for an Uncanny Omnibus, Volume 4 or 5. However, it's obviously going to be 2 volumes in between 3 and Mutant Massacre, but just these gorgeous covers here. Here's the backup, A Fire in the Night from the X-Men Classics, number 13, and then Excalibur right here. Oh no, that's the annual. This is the Excalibur issue, which he's teamed up with Alan Davis. And then, of course, 268 with Jim Lee. It is 376 pages and retails for $34.99. Here is the X-Men Unlimited issue drawn by Salvador Larroca. So like I said, it's just taking his best storylines and putting them together in one collection. And it's just all over the place from the 70s, 80s, 90s, all the way up until the early aughts. And that was the contents of each of these books. These books are scheduled to come out on November 27th, so let me know in the comments down below if you're picking them up, or if you already have the omnibus, if you already had the hardcover, or both hardcovers of Marvel Visionaries and Fallen Angels. Please don't forget to hit that like, subscribe button, and remember, if it's classy and cool, it must be near mint.